And welcome back to the LEC, where Team Heretics are now 1-1 with Team Vitality. Perkz, having a difficult Kassadin game, has now in charge of the cabling for the cameras. Just prepping him for some extra job skills just in case this one goes awry.
But I like that rip walk there. Would have made things significantly easier.
True.
Yeah.
The ability to teleport on demand. Kassadin definitely #1. Zillion Kassadin. Revive on demand, teleport on demand. #1 powers you'd have to have. If I could have an ultimate.
Yeah.
Just as a segue. It's not about us filling time with random nonsense, though. It's about Vitality and Heretics, because this, surprisingly, after Game 1 is 1-1. And frankly, my only hope here for Game 3, Dagda, is that we do not have a game blown wide open within the first 3 levels, and instead we get to see a game with a bit more parity, because it was a slaughter on both sides. Vitality again on blue side, Heretics again on red, and I think bot lane focus. We talked about it. Engage supports seems to be the name of the game, but maybe Vitality try to run it back with the Caitlyn.
Okay. So basically the exact same draft you saw last time. So is the Caitlyn priority still there? Because, immediately no. Okay,
Nope,
I'll just get the
there
answer.
it is.
Didn't need it to be rhetorical.
Right, now it's about mid lane.
Okay, and I'm now interested to see what the game plan is. Like, do we want to see it on the opposite side? Do you say go for your jungler here, right? Try and take that five for yourself, especially since the we did see that the Vi at least could get control in those early stages. But it looks like Jackspektra just happy to go, we don't care about Caitlyn, we're just going to go for the Zeri side.
Do we get a bot lane I'm so excited to potentially see again, Dagda? Will Team Vitality play Lucian Nami?
Ooh.
Slightly nerfed on the patch, but not enough to stop it being played internationally. Instead, however, they are going to prioritize jungle once again.
Okay.
Ooh, Sivir. Love this patch for Sivir. Of course, if you haven't seen Navori Quick Blades updates, 40% crit just like IE. And let me tell you, permanent W uptime at 2 items feels pretty damn good.
Also, the fact you just got like that mana buff as well means you can actually clear waves pretty easily as well. It makes your laning a little bit easier to come by. Now you're also looking at, okay, ton of late game scaling with your Sivir, ton of late game scaling with your Azir. You got Kindred as well. So again, feels like Photon probably going to be looking for things like the Scion, the Cassante in this top side of the map. So I wouldn't be surprised for Heretics to try and get rid of these big kind of frontliners, so then you don't have to worry about it when you get to that team fight, especially for someone like a Zeri.
And it's an interesting position to be in, because Heretics get the luxury, obviously, of 4th pick, so can get the Cassante for themselves. If they don't ban it away here, wonder if they'll just ban Cassante counters or options. And that said, normally this is the point in that where I would say, hey, maybe we see the Lulu banned away, maybe we see some of these range supports limited. But given the success of Nautilus, I actually think this makes a lot of sense. Wouldn't be surprised to see both teams try for an engage support if the option is up and available.
And that's why I'm kind of surprised to see the Nautilus ban. I assumed what they do is Cassante on 4, then you look towards counterpick for Mersa, right? And you're able to set yourself up nicely. But instead, looks like we are just going to go and ban away at least the Nautilus. I still think banning away the Scion will be pretty good. Photon had a pretty good time against Ebby on the Cassante on that in the first game, so I feel like that's probably your best direction to go with this final ban for Heretics.
Banning the Lulu, though, obviously Lulu in general just an incredibly powerful support in terms of early lane prio. Also has a few more reliable hard CC tools than some of the other range support options. The Polymorph knockup, the Wild Growth knockup as well as the Polymorph. But the final debate here, do they just limit the bot lane pool more? And it would make sense, again, in the context of the series where it has essentially been entirely about this 2v2, about this 3v3 on the bottom side. Instead, they say, hey, we see triple carries. We are not going to give you the reliable scaling of a beefy frontliner like the Scion.
Yeah, I also think just from Vitality's side, right, I wouldn't be surprised to see them just go towards something like the Leona and just go, okay, now we got Engage coming through from Kaiser. We've got full AFK wave clear coming through from the Sivir. Let's unlock Kaiser. Let's just go and do our thing that we expect Kaiser to be able to. And I think when we got like into week 1, right, we saw the Braum, we saw the Leona from Kaiser. He looked incredibly strong in that regard. So I want to see if they go back towards that. But Ebby looking to maybe pilot this Jax on the top side. I'm waiting to see, because I don't think Ebby had the best of times the first time we saw him on this Jax pick.
Still a very conventional power pick, even if it hasn't found the same amount of success. But with Cassante banned away, it seems like it is the next best option for him. What is Vitality going to opt for this time around? You have a ton of squishy but high damage backliners, a little bit of peel, a little bit of safety in the form of the Azir and the Kindred ult, but you really, really want some frontline. Otherwise, this composition gets so incredibly difficult to play. Gragas, an option, the Wonder Special in the top lane in the hands of Photon. I think this overall makes a lot of sense. Great disengage tool, a lot of peel, a lot of engage potential.
Decent into the Jax as well. Jax tries to leap strike in, you just go forward with it. And I think it makes a lot of sense into what they're attempting to do. And also just denying it from the opposite side. But either way, gonna have the Renata paired with the Sivir in the bot lane. I'm kind of surprised to see it. I did think we'd get something a bit more hard engage orientated to actually try and offer more than just the Gragas. Like, you have to be so on point with these Gragas barrels now for Photon, or these flash engages to try and set things up, because it's not like you have a ton of range that you can really play with apart from just the Azir.
And I think Heretics seem very aware of that, opting for the Soraka here, almost recognizing the lack of immediate dive threat, knowing that the Soraka can just top off the opposing members of the team. Now, overall, when we look at 5v5, Vitality have to feel favored, but despite the burden of damage being on the three characters in the middle of your screen, Photon really is going to have to be the man of the hour when it comes to mid and late game fights. That said, we haven't seen a mid or a late game, Dagda. We have seen early games be super one-sided and the rest of the game just be a cleanup. So early game, I think, has to remain our focus because of the series, not because of the compositions that we're seeing.
Yeah, and I think a large portion of that has been like Bo going for these early ganks that have really set up the Vitality on that bottom side. I would be very surprised to see him go for it this time, just because Renata, unless you want a flash handshake, doesn't really give you that big engage. But I'm looking at Mersa to see if he can have these big silences that can cause issues for Bo, for Photon, for Kaiser in these later fights.
There's something that has to be respected. One of the most disgustingly powerful abilities in the game, instant silence, coming in from Soraka. See if that's something they can go for as we get a little fist bumps on stage. One final game to decide who will move up to 1-0, one win away from finding themselves in the playoffs, top 4. Who will fall down, one loss away from elimination in the LEC Winter Split.
I mean, so much here to play for still. I'm curious, like, it feels like when Vitality were like, oh yeah, we're going to lock in Heretics, we want to play against this team, that they knew exactly what they're going to be going up against. But last game, they definitely felt like they were surprised by how good it is. We'll have to see now if they can take it home for game 3.
Thank you very much, Shannon, for joining me. Real quick, in this series, we have seen that Heretics have come back on the 1-1, and you guys chose them for this first best of 3 in your team. Have they exceeded your expectations?
I think the first game, we got a pretty good draft. And then I think second game, we just didn't play the best early game as well. As well, first game as well, the level 1, we had also problems both sides. So I think we just need to be better level 1 and not do stupid mistakes. And yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to interrupt you. Back to you, Drakos and Dagda, because we have action on the screen.
That's a coach curse if I've ever heard one. Level 1, don't do stupid mistakes. Bo flashing out to safety. Beautiful read on the level 1 play coming in from Team Heretics, trying to leverage their strong level 1. They are gonna get a flash out. Wow, someone, where's the where's the curb your enthusiasm music? It wasn't that disastrous. It is just a flash loss, but it does eliminate some of the early playmaking. You can see now Vitality trying to get something back by laying down early vision. But Dagda, both teams very ready to fist fight in the early game. Jackspektra not doing great in the fist fight thus far.
Yeah, definitely feels like both these guys want to put it all on the table. The big one for me is actually looking like Evie didn't opt into towards taking that flash on the top side, did go towards Ghost. And if you actually look at where we're seeing Bo start on this bottom side, I'm curious to see if he's trying to make a play up towards top end, because if you can get in early on towards Evie, maybe there's a chance there. Is Heavy trading again on the spot side.
Ghost spurned on both sides. Soraka level 1 not too bad though, have to be careful here.
I mean, in the long run, this helps Mersa, right? He just gets to heal it up, but
it's game 1. It's game 1 all over. Are we gonna get double instant flash? Okay, if it's just like the last game, Bo's gonna Q in and they're both gonna flash instantly. And then there has to be a script. There's no way this is real. Okay, all right. All right, it's real. It's real.
Maybe we curse the script writers. They're like, all right, no, call it off. This has gone too far. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think you got that same setup that we did in the first game. Like, a flash handshake was basically all you could rely on. And if Kaiser missed that, he was already fairly low. Yep. And I mean, as we were talking about the Soraka, she just gets to heal this all back up. So I think Bo honestly just kind of taking a bit of a slower route, which should help Jankos, who's going for a 4-camp start into the spot side. And maybe it actually could be Jankos who makes the play onto Neon and Kaiser.
Certainly an option, and I think no surprise to see this game should play out a bit slower on the bottom side of the map when you see a Cole in the inventory of Neon. That said, Ruby getting very aggressive onto Perkz. Obviously, this is an excellent mid and late game option in the Azir, but that early harass from Syndra, especially with the electrocute, can really put the Azir behind in the lane as Bo looking for a play on the top side. Once again, has been unspotted. Difficult, though.
I mean, the fact again, I love how both Perkz, he tries to avoid so much of the vision. Like, there is no word for heavy, but just in case, he's trying to make sure he can play this. But again, no ghost. It's going to be up so soon. But now they know the ward's gone down.
Bo has to be careful here. There's not really a lot of a play for him. Oh, and perfect body slam flash keeps this play going. Evie holding onto the counter strike for now. 1, 2, 3, first blood. I did not think they'd be able to pull that off. That was clean execution from the side of Vitality.
I mean, good guy Photon delivering the kill to Bo. They were just waiting until Bo could actually get the mark on towards Evie as well. He's now, I think, doesn't actually maybe get it over, but I mean, just really nice job there for Vitality to get Bo rolling early.
And I can't wait. Observers, if we can, please give us a chance to see that replay, because you had to do everything mechanically right there to get that kill onto Evie. Body slam flash to interrupt the jump, waiting out the counter strike to finish the kill. If they do not do all of those things, they will not find this kill onto Evie.
I mean, really, really well played. And again, Photon here just tanking up the tower as well, knowing that he can give that kill across the Bo. And this then makes things significantly more difficult now, where if Bo can get rolling like he did in game number 1, there's a potential for him to take over, especially when you look towards like having the support from Kaiser, keeping him topped up in safety. Ability to just keep people alive on Vitality with both Bo and Kaiser is so hard for Heretics to deal with.
See what the response is now. Team Heretics. Bot lane for now going very much in the favor of Jackspektra and Mersa. Good handshake back for a bit of poke, but not going to be the center of attention. Looks like the name of the game is Camp Evie. Make sure he can never have fun. He's stepping forward once his counter-strike is down. In goes Bo. There it is. Like clockwork. 1, 2, looking for the mounting dread, but has the ghost this time around, so just quickly gets the summoner spell and now can leave, can recall. But as long as they don't know where Evie or where Bo is, Evie kind of has to play back.
Jankos responding well though, immediately moving in towards Dragon. He's like, cool, we won through the objective game in the last game. Let's try and get these racking up in our favor as well. Even having Ruby with that push, just leaning across to help him, getting some of this vision down. It's about trying to spot out where Bo is going to go. And if you look at both his camps that are up on this bottom side, wards on either side, they should know he's not gone to the bottom of half the map.
Perkz getting aggressive there as he's shifting sands into Ruby. Jankos is going to grab that objective as you highlighted. So for now, the Dragon, you can see the top side of Vitality holding on to 600 gold between them, courtesy of those ganks, courtesy of that early pressure, but Jankos is able to grab back the Dragon, which both games have involved a soul, a quick soul from either side. See if Team Heretics can replicate that this time around as Ruby just moving in for a bit of vision. Bo giving him that respect. Level 6 Syndra, potential to just one-pop a lot of these lower level champions.
And at the moment, it's a case of, again, just Heretics using the fact they've got that push in mid, keeping themselves topped up. You've got the reset coming through for Jackspektra and Mersa on this bottom side. And it becomes so much more difficult for Vitality to look for these plays. Once Mersa hits 6, it's Ruby. Yeah. This is not really, I think, the way a lot of people were expecting the mid lane to go, as I mean, back away. But Ruby hasn't exactly been the most lane dominant. We've seen him with like Cassiopeias and Victors and Azirs, but now bringing out the Syndra and doing a really good job of keeping Perkz in check.
Certainly the case. Jankos taking so much damage here. Ruby in the area, the only thing that stops Bo from going for the solo kill there. Jankos very slow to react, make his way out of that exchange, but double control wards dropped is a bit of inefficiency. 75 gold wasted there for the side of Vitality. So in terms of small advantages, just trading back and forth as Ruby continues to press in this mid lane. Only 100 gold, but I think the pressure, the kill threat, much more impactful than necessarily the gold discrepancy is showing us.
And I think you got your wish, right? This isn't a game that's been decided in this first 2 levels. This is actually going to be something that then we look to try and continue forward into the mid game. How are you playing around these objectives? And with Rift Tower coming up in just a few moments' time, we know that Heretics like to prioritize that objective as Bo.
Sweaty palms, hits the R button in time and will survive. But ult traded for ult. This is very good for Perkz' laning phase, but could make the next skirmish if Bo is involved a little bit more difficult. Kaiser, absolute mad lad, handshake pulling back, goodbye to Ruby, and that is not what Team Heretics wanted.
It's what a lot of Vitality fans wanted to see though. Kaiser getting back out on the map and actually being able to roam. And we said for Neon, right, he's fine. He just AFK wave clears all live long days. So Kaiser actually being able to get out onto the map and get some of this early pressure, now netting another kill for Bo.
fantastic to see him out and roaming. And yeah, excellent thing to highlight is that, yeah, Neon just really not under kill threat without a jungler in the area. Getting that advantage over is going to be big. 2 kills over to the side of the bow. Absolutely massive. 900 individual gold lead. Starting to feel a little bit like game 1 in terms of Bow's individual lead. But I think the early game, level 6, mid game especially, when you have a Syndra and a Vi on your team, a lot of potential to start fights in your favor.
I mean, this is much more of a comfort zone for Vitality, right? Like, when you look at week 3 where Bow wasn't able to get those big leads, we think back to week 1 and week 2, it was like, oh, we get Kaiser and roams, Bow's doing good, Perkz is going to be able on something that can help carry in the later portion of the game. This is where they have felt comfortable, but at least for the moment, not feeling comfortable to go over towards this Riftchild. Instead, they're going to try and look for plates on Neon on the bot side instead.
This is an interesting position the Team Heretics put themselves in, because Neon is already pushing in and could look to grab plates. Looks like it's a bit of a split call, though. Neon is coming up, but he's coming up quite late. If they don't steal this, it's going to be disastrous, but he does steal it. He makes it happen. He doesn't have an ultimate. They need to immediately kill this Kindred. If they can lock him down, maybe they can get it done, but Bow is still standing. Shutdown coming in is massive as Evie finds another. Team Heretics, they may not have gotten the Herald, but Vitality will not get the eye, and they will not walk away with their lives. It's a beautiful fight for Heretics. Evie wants to keep it going. One more stun. One more empowered auto, but they will not grab another.
And you called it right. I mean, they had Neon on bot side. Traditionally, we've seen Vitality being very good at trade Riftchild for just the 2 plates Neon could get on the bot side, but instead, they get greedy. They don't even get to pick up the Herald. They give more kills over towards Heretics, and specifically towards Ebby in that top side as well. Ebby was falling behind, had been put behind by Photon and Bow, but he's a big benefactor in this fight.
If you take a look back at this, you see the initial setup trying to burst through the Kindred. Not quite enough damage to immediately kill Bow, so he's able to get a few autos out, but overall, well executed by Team Heretics, and you can see, while they did steal the Herald, betting on the 50-50, a bit bold from Vitality, and Sivir left bot lane when she could have been autoing in anticipation of joining the fight, so only about a single plate over to Neon in that exchange.
And I think it's just Bogan a little bit overhypey, right? I've got 2 kills, I'm set up to be the carry, thinks he can carry the 4 versus 5, but I mean, Heretics have been a team that have been very good at rotating all 5 members to these Riftchilds to look for skirmishes, try and find these advantages, and I mean, that was a big one opening up for them. Even Jackspektra as well. Now 2 plates on that bottom side, getting a little bit of a gold lead for him. It feels like for Jankos again, hey, let's just play around bot side. Let's try and get Jackspektra into position where he can carry once more, like he did in the last game.
And ultimately, while Ruby dying earlier was difficult, trading ult for ult with Bow really did pay off, giving that shutdown over to his team. Sad, of course, that they are unable to secure the eye. Vitality not able to grab it either, so neither side going to get the advantage of those 1.5 free plates. Bow waiting in the darkness, very confident here. Does he have ult again? Bow holding on to it, Lamb's respite, but he's in the meat grinder. I don't think that there's actually any way out of this one. Knocked down, knocked up, but no, the bailout trying to finish another kill. A lot of blinking health bars. Team Heretics grabbing another one. Bow, they've let him cook too much, Dagda.
Yes, bail to fail. Now Heretics get to move over towards the bot side here, get the dragon for themselves. This has just been so good, and I mean, for Vitality, it's just them getting ahead of themselves. I mean, Bow trying to push in too far on 2 occasions now, getting caught out, and it's giving massive leads to Heretics as Photon looking for the solo bolo.
Getting comfy. We saw in the little Vitality feature. Shout out the team that made that happen. Patty and crew. You know, he likes to learn the memes. He's ready for the solo bolos. But yeah, there's a solo Bow. Not a solo bolo, sadly. And for Vitality, this is just a bit of a head scratcher. If he doesn't get spotted out in the bush, maybe they get an angle to make a sick play, but they had the resources necessary in the area, and sadly, Vitality walk away empty-handed.
Helping to put the low in solo bolo. But I think the biggest problem is, like, you saw them try and invade on towards the blue, but when you actually start to move over...
Sorry, it was not like...
But as
it's been a weird day.
Yeah, you're moving over towards the blue. It's like you have vision that the Vi hasn't started it, so you actually try and group up as a team to put pressure there, but they're just too late. Now Jankos trying to put pressure onto Photon.
Photon waddling his way out to safety. He is going to die, and Soraka ult is going to make sure that Mersa gets an assist. And we are 12 minutes into the game, dead even in gold, Dagda. Vitality, small lead because of this plates, but it's 2 Drakes, Team Heretics, and this is what I wanted. I didn't expect it, after game 1, after the stomp we saw in favor of Vitality, but Team Heretics fired back game 2, and now here finally we have a pretty even playing field in game 3.
Yeah, I mean, especially now that Neon is starting to get some of these fights back to even up bot side, you got very, very even, pretty much across the board. It's just the mid and jungle that is having that little bit of a discrepancy. We'll have to see if Ruby can show up on this Syndra. I think he's looked more like he has. But no, he has been the kind of the late game insurance for this squad, right?
Yeah.
Where you often think of him on the Cassiopeia of the Azir, but not going to have that opportunity. It now falls to Jackspektra. We'll have to see if he can have a similar performance on this Zeri like he did in the last game.
Yeah, and really need to see Team Heretics keep the pace up in this game, because the later we go, I think the more at least on paper scaling is going to be terrifying to deal with. If you're leaping into the backline that consists of a Azir, a Kindred, and a Sivir, it's really hard to stay on a target with On the Hunt with the Emperor's Divide that can come out. So execution can be the name of the game. Ruby has to keep building that advantage in the mid lane, but Vitality trading blow for blow, continuing to scale up, doesn't feel too bad for the Vitality fans out there.
I think the next one is going to be a case of looking at the Rift Tower that's about to spawn in just under a minute's time. We've already got decent vision here for Heretics, and it's kind of a question of, do they want to try and continue forcing around these objectives, like look for skirmishes where they can try and abuse the fact Jackspektra has that first item completed, or, as you can see now, just, hey, we're going to give this up, we're going to look for position on bot side, take the turrets that are definitely there for us.
Keep the pressure up top side, though. Rod of Ages on the Gragas, too, so the AP one-shot, always a potential as we get later and later into the game. Maybe not the beefiest of front lines, but still a great engage and disengage option.
And I think on that as well, like Jankos is going to have his work cut out from here, because when he goes in aggressive, right, you've got Photon who's going to be looking for the ult to get him away, as you said, Emperor's Divide, all that good jazz. So I feel like a huge amount of this is going to be a case of, you know, Ruby CC, Mersa having that silence, like trying to prevent many of the different parts from Vitality working and throw a wrench into the cog that is their team fight. At the moment, a bit of that is getting vision control to try and set up for those moments correctly.
I think the struggle for Team Heretics is, when you look at mid-jungle especially, kind of shotgun champions. They jump in, burn all their spells, and then if you haven't won the fight already, you're going to be in a tricky position. Whereas sustained damage, disengage, long fights very clearly favor Vitality if it's pure front to back. And that's something that's always just very tough to deal with. It demands that much more execution on the side of Team Heretics. Because if Team Heretics ever sloppily fight into Vitality, instantly you're going to have that hostile takeover. Instantly you're going to have that disengage or re-engage on the Gragas ult, and it will fall apart very quickly.
Looking at this next fight, though, Vitality, they have all their TPs available on the members that matter, right? Photon split pushing this top side. You got Dragon in 45 seconds. You've got the Rift Tower available for Heretics. So it feels like for Vitality, they need to try and keep good control over this bottom half of the map if they want to try and be able to contest, because third Dragon for Heretics is going to be so incredibly powerful, and it just doesn't feel like at the moment Heretics with the Summoner Spell cooldowns can really try and contest this. That's why you're seeing AB already leaving topside and starting to move down.
Neon running out to safety. And again, in a tight game like this, small advantages really do add up, really do matter. So forcing out the On the Hunt before the fight comes through does mean that it's that much less reliable for Vitality to re-engage or disengage in a fight.
Vitality have also been one of the few teams that we've seen actually, when a Summoner Spell or big ultimate like that is blown before, third Dragon are actually just happy to give it. So I'm curious what the game plan is. They still have Photon pushing in this top side. Maybe they just say, we don't care about the Dragon at all, and we'll look for top tower or just presence in this middle.
Poking out Evie, they have mid-prio, but Team Heretics have been on this Dragon for a little bit of time already. That said, Jankos not burning through it too quickly. Kaiser full committing, flash in. Jankos just dashing out to safety, so overall spell trade for now was in favor of Team Heretics, but it looks like the Dragon will drop in favor of Vitality, so good play. Heads up decision, collapsing with every member of their team. They get Photon's TP out. Only real exchange.
And I think that's Heretics just afraid to lose out on too much, right? They overcommit members to the mid lane because they don't want to lose the mid lane tower, but it means they do get pushed off on this bot side. So you kind of end up in this lose-lose as Heretics, where you don't really get to contest either objective. And a nice job from Vitality to spot that, right? The second they saw how many members of Heretics were underneath the mid tower, they immediately moved bot. Jankos, though, thinking Photon might overextend, but everyone's gone.
Certainly the case. We look at this too. I mean, the terrifying prospect in this game is if Vitality are ever in a position to take Baron. They shred it incredibly quickly. If they can full commit to a Baron, they will burn it down so fast. And when you look at their team's sieging potential, there's not going to be a lot Team Heretics can do other than try to force an all-in, and that is a difficult task once again. To so many disengage tools into a hostile takeover. TP being used mid lane. Team Heretics trying to force an advantage here. Knockback is big from Ruby. No one in the area really to follow up on this dive though. Jankos going to burn the Herald in the mid lane. Bo here, Kaiser here as well. Kaiser with the ultimate up and available. See if it gets the crash into the tower. Looks like it should. There it is, taken out, close. Not able to finish mid lane tower though, is very big. Means the Azir gets to sit in that lane as long as he wants.
I think Heretics wanted to push a bit further, but Heavy actually got poked out by Neon in that top side, so he wasn't really in a position to try and keep Neon in check, so afraid of all 5 members of Vitality, and now they're in the mid lane. Heretics can't really respond.
Photon off to the side. Jankos coming over the wall, but I don't know if this is the fight that they want. Jankos now full committing. They've got a Jax on the flank. Jackspektra now stepping in, doing big damage. Bo already getting taken out. No! Lamb's respite, buying him a moment of time, but here comes Emmy, the Jax on the backside. The backup from the Syndra is massive. It's a double kill for Ruby. Perkz getting back one in exchange. But instantly, Team Heretics turned the play on its head.
I mean, you still got the Azir here. Perkz trying to go between the towers, but not able to find anything. Heretics looking for that mid lane tower and maybe a little bit more as Heavy's feeling himself.
Gold dead even, but good to see the confidence pulling the trigger come out there from the side of Team Heretics. That's the TP that they had over the side of Vitality on the back of that previous dragon.
I mean, for Heretics, this is exactly how they want to try and close this one out. It's been so exciting to see how Heretics have kind of picked up the pace from what we saw during the regular split, using the fact they had that TP, getting a good flank position, setting up a strong 5v5, and with themselves underneath the tower, there's very little Vitality can do. Photon only blasts people into the wall, Vitality can't really chase forward, and Evie, perfect timing on the counter-strike there, and Perkz tries his best to get away, but knows that when he's found himself in no man's land, they might as well try and find something, because he's just not going to get out of it.
Yep. Didn't look great, though. We'll say that one. But Jack, this man is communicating. Hands off the mouse, delivering instructions to the team. Presumably not during the play. But you can see Perkz the massive source of damage in that fight. Really the one trying to bring it home for the team overall. But this is the Baron I talked about. Team Heretics cannot let this one go over to the side of Vitality. Vitality, if they can get this clean, it's everything. Jankos now coming in. Jankos, can he steal it away from Bo? But it's too fast. Vitality getting this Baron is devastating for Heretics. Their wave clear is lackluster at best, and this is a terrifying siege team to play against.
I think the one saving grace for Heretics is they should get this mid lane tower off the back of this. I'd love to see someone moving up towards topside as well to put pressure onto the top tower, try and push that wave in, but there isn't really many places that you can try and punish as Vitality here. You're still looking at outer towers rather than inhibitor towers, and even with the dragon in a minute, there's going to be focus for Vitality towards that objective to make sure they can secure it, so a little bit of that time will be wasted with the Baron as well. So maybe Heretics can try and find some moments to get these waves pushed out and minimize how much they're going to lose on the map.
Gonna have to do everything that they can. Photon trying to descend here. Man advantages, there's 3 members. Team Heretics in the area. Perkz with a happy B, has to be feeling pretty happy about that Baron. Vitality's going to take a few moments as they get the rest of their waves pushed in. On the side lane, you see Neon thrown out there at 2 items against Sivir, essentially has permanent ricochet uptime. Not quite permanent, but just about. So can just keep the pressure solo on this side lane, and gonna need to see how Team Heretics respond to this one. If they want to pull the trigger mid lane, they need to be quick, they need to be confident, because Neon will take a tower in the meantime.
It looks like they're just going to try and pull the pressure on towards this river area instead, try and set up for the fight, but let's say Neon, Photon in a position, Perkz and Bo playing very safe, not engaged range of Jankos, and I mean, for the rest of Vitality, they've actually started to group up now. They get to keep pushing.
And keep in mind, the cost of Team Heretics walking into the river like that is 600 gold. It is the tier 2 tower. Evie, clean stopwatch now. Needs to make it out. Handshake now pulls him back. He's getting burned down. He's ticking. Photon going to finish that kill. And now Mersa next. Vitality grabbing the bot lane tier 2. Should be able to break open the inhibitor line on the back of those picks.
I mean, flashless and dashless, Evie's not in a great spot when he finds himself up against Photon. So Vitality now, with the Baron buff still available, they don't care about the dragon. They're just trying to crack the base, and little mistake from Heretics, and Vitality are punishing so well.
Vitality can be over-aggressive, but a lot of times when they have a lead like this, they play with surgical precision. We're seeing it here now. 22 minutes into the game, looking to make this one the fastest. We thought there was parity. We thought it was close, but Vitality take the Baron, they take the picks, and they're looking to end the game. For now, though, They'll have to back away. They'll have to hold off. Don't want to flip it here. Evie with the TP respawning now. Can try to find a flank one more time. This would be heroic. TP burned. Now they know he's in the area. Team Heretics want to punish. They have to keep this play going, but I think that they know that there's nothing here for them. And that's devastating.
If you're Heretics, you look for Dragon. I think you just try and fight it, but I mean, Ruby has TP to get in here, but I mean, Bo's low. You have flashes that are burnt off of people like Bo and key carries, but not really wanting to commit too far forward. I think that could have been a moment where Heretics punished the fact that Vitality tried to go for that end, but we'll see it here. Great play from Photon, hiding in the wings. You get that quick catch onto Evie, and yes, he goes golden, but as soon as this dash is down, Evie has nowhere else to go, and even look at the barrel placement. Immediately catches Evie as he tries to jump to safety. Really smart play from Photon on that one to get the pick.
And again, credit to Photon Bo doing so much work in this game. Even if a 1-2-5 is not the flashiest scoreline, 1K gold lead over a Jax, quite impressive. And you can see end of that gold chart on the right-hand side of your screen, bottom right-hand side there, starting to feel like an insurmountable mountain for the side of Team Heretics. Jackspektra, 2.5 items. He gets to 3. Things get a little bit easier, but you can see Neon doesn't even feel like he needs to be the big hyper carry, as now he's got Devore. He's just going straight for Bloodthirster, get that extra bit of sustain. Doesn't need any more damage.
And even the fact you get that shield for a lot of the burst that's available on Heretics as well, it's one of the big things that we saw kind of change, is getting that extra shield will help out against, you know, if Jankos and Ruby try to jump on top of him. So a little bit of extra safety for Neon as they all start to move up towards this top side. A lot of vision though, spotting them out on their way, so I don't think they want to overcommit to this. I think it's just a case of trying to drag Heretics top side to keep pressure mid.
Knockback there. Oh, getting chunked out, but not forcing the ultimate means it doesn't quite matter yet. Red buff also going to heal him up. It'll take a little bit of time, but he'll get there.
I think it's just creating like a bit of confidence for Heretics to move in, but
oh, here comes Photon. Knockback right in the Jankos. Jankos going to immediately ult, trying to get something back, but it's a quick pick from the side of Vitality, keeping the pressure up, and already Supers on the bottom side of the map.
I mean, that's what Heretics wanted. They were the ones that were actually trying to look for the pick in the mid lane, but I mean, great job again from Photon. He's been so good on this Gragas, and again now, Heretics are drawn back to try and deal with their base, and Vitality are going to continue pushing forward.
Breaking another tier 2 tower. Ruby doing what he can on the Syndra to clear those minions. But Photon here on the top side, got a lot of backup coming in. Evie has to be careful about overstepping. Counter-Strike buys him a bit of time, but not enough to survive everything. Has to leap away before he can even go for the stun here. Half the health of the tower just disappearing in an instant. And you know it's so hard for Team Heretics, because these are the kind of deficits against a team like Vitality that are so crushing, because you have to pull the trigger. You have to go in, you have to force. But if you make a mistake, if you force at the wrong time, you lose the game. And that's high. You're the only one playing Russian roulette. There's a bullet in the gun and you're playing Russian roulette. You're the only one playing. Vitality's not playing. You're playing every time you go in.
And the thing is, these Ocean Dragons are only going to stack as well, right? So now any sort of poke that you get with Ruby to maybe try and sustain even the war of attrition with someone like Soraka just doesn't matter anymore. So especially if you can get another one here for Vitality, it makes it so difficult. The Baron as well in 15 seconds. I will say Vitality don't have a huge amount of vision deep into the jungle, so maybe Heretics can find a pick, but I mean, you've got 4 members of Vitality all grouped up. You've only got Evie on the bot side, Jackspektra's coming to the base, and they're looking to try and turn that pick back on to Heretics.
The good news is, if you see Photon on the map, you can walk into brushes pretty safely, because there's very little hard CC on Vitality's composition. So you can at least contest some vision. Again, as long as you can see the Gragas. So Team Heretics fighting for what they can, what little bit of control they can, but every decision they make costs them something. In this case, it might just cost them an inhibitor tower just to get control back in their own jungle. Instead, it'll cost them the TP. Evie no longer going to have that option to flank.
I mean, the wave has kind of been dealt with on bot side. There isn't super creeps there anymore, so Heretics kind of using that fact to go, okay, we don't have to worry about it. You can see pings on towards the mid lane turret as well, as they realize Vitality will need to back away, so maybe they can try and get some presence in the mid, or honestly even just turn over towards the Baron. I mean, they're not going to be shy of bursting that one out themselves, but looks like mid lane turret is going to be the name of the game before this next dragon in a minute.
Yeah, and again, credit to Team Heretics, having the patience. They can just force here. And they are going to start it off. Control ward is up. They're not even worried about taking that vision away. I think Evie's going to maybe get some autos in between there. They force out the TP. They can just collapse on this TP instantaneously. That silence from Soraka is brutal, but it's early. Perkz goes gold in the meantime, flashing out safety, ulting. Small advantages again for the side of Team Heretics. Maybe enough to keep this fight going. Lamb's respite now going down. Heretics, can they turn this one? Photon maybe look for the disengage. Instantly, Evie goes over the wall trying to take Perkz out before he can get any damage down. The Jax is massive. Team Heretics need to keep this one going. Evie into the backside, taking out the Kindred. Is everything. Ruby stepping forward, trying to find the solo kill, but now they managed to split apart. Vitality still standing. It's all eyes on Jackspektra. It is Jackspektra and Ruby versus the world. Kaiser running out to safety, and I don't know how they've done it, but they've done it. Team Heretics holding on. Photon will get one back, but Team Heretics take the fight.
That take the fight. They won't be able to get any of the objectives, though. Every key front line on either side is down, so Neon going to move over towards this dragon instead. And, I mean, yes, Heretics, it looked like a good fight, but the objective is still going to Vitality.
So hard now. And honestly, Dagda is breathing. Big, deep breath for a game like this. It's tense, and that's what you want to see from Team Heretics. Able to find that opportunity, able to collapse. Silence just a little early means Perkz gets to push the Zhonya's.
And I mean, even here, you can see Perkz immediately flashes, and just the Emperor's Divide to make sure that Evie wasn't following him, but now Evie knows that if he can get onto the back line here, there's nothing to really stop him, right? Photon throws the barrel one direction, Emperor's Divide is down, Lamb's Respite is down, and immediately Evie pops the goats and goes wild. And such a good play from the Heretics top laner. I was criticizing him coming into this game. I was saying that, look, the Jax isn't really going to, or hasn't worked out in the past for him, but Evie putting on a clinic, setting up Jackspektra here, and just the fact that Heretics have managed to force the Neon out of that fight sets up incredibly well for the rest of the fight.
And here we go, one more fight. And remember, while you have another chance, while you will get another opportunity, if you fall here, you will lose the luxury of double limb. You will have to play perfectly for the entirety of your season if you want to lift the trophy at the end of winter. Long road for both these teams, regardless of which route they take. For now, though, Baron in the sights of both, the only thing that matters. Evie off to the side, isolated, 3K, getting lower. They're going to flip it. It's going to require absolute discipline, but Vitality just taking their time, now turning to try to burn down the Baron. Can they get through it? Team Heretics will take that one out a bit late on the smite, but they are going to grab it. Photon now going in. Jankos going back. They're only going to keep 4 Barons up for now. Jankos sacrificed for the buff on the side of Team Heretics, but I don't know if it was a good trade. Photon keeping the ball rolling. They will not spot out Evie. Perkz now going in. He wants to end the game here, seeing his opportunity, but he's getting cut down.
He's dead.
He's dead.
I mean, great flash. Ruby's doing it.
Incredible. I've never seen that. I've never seen someone's Zhonya's after. That has to feel so bad for Perkz. Bo now taking out 2. Oh, Vitality, they're trying to double down. They keep gambling, but it's Team Heretics who keep winning, and that is the TP. That is Evie on the flank. Kaiser and Neon getting collapsed on. Spell Shield coming out, being burned just a little bit early. Neon getting chunked through. Ignite ticking onto Evie. Ruby now chasing. They just don't have the hard CC. They don't have the engage to keep this play going. Team Heretics forced to back away. Such an intense game. 2 minutes and 50 seconds until the Ocean Soul. Knockback on a Photon is big. They're still going to go. They're going to try to burn through him, and it's going to be once again a bailout that will get nothing done. Shut down for Jackspektra. Gold getting closer and closer as Team Heretics find advantage after advantage.
I mean, Heretics barely staying alive here, keeping themselves topped up on life support with Mersa in the backline. But, I mean, here, Evie doing a great job of trying to keep Photon in check. You end up with Jankos going over the wall, and I think this is kind of the right call, right? Because you look at Jackspektra, like, finish the Baron, we're going to be able to move out of here, but afterwards, this is where you just get that over chase. And I think here they were like, okay, Photon gets the slow here, maybe we can follow through, and it does connect onto Jackspektra, but here Ruby, great call, ultimate immediately onto Perkz with the CC, and then the last little tick of damage with the electrocute is enough to finish him off.
And it feels bad for Perkz, because then he has 2.5 seconds to realize that Zhonya's was delayed dollar short. Vitality pushing limits there. Limit testing, but ultimately it turns against them, and now suddenly we've got a situation where we wanted to see what these solo laners were going to be like. We wanted to see what Evie could do on a side lane. He wasn't in that position for 90% of this game, but now he certainly is.
I mean, how many times have we said that, though? Vitality taking that step too far forward, trying to bite off where they can chew with Bo, and now we're starting to push forward. What can they get? I mean, mid-tower down, top 1, next on the menu.
The pressure is on. Evie zoning Photon away, breaking down towers. Meanwhile, Perkz pushing on the bottom side of the map, has the TP. Ocean Soul in 1 minute 11 seconds, 30 seconds left on this Baron. I don't think they're going to be able to break open the base. Really just gets the gold back into touching distance, the only thing that they are getting. out of the big purple worm. Execution's still going to be difficult. Still have to come in with that same confidence. And Dagda, do you want to know what the most concerning part about this game is?
Hit me with it.
Goldberg will be right. Vitality, set up to win, 100% confidence. What do? Get caught in a fight that they can't afford to get caught in. And they're not out of the game yet. But if Team Heretics make it happen, Goldberg, another big winner on top of Team Heretics. But now, Jankos getting caught out is massive before the objective starts. 30 seconds. TP coming into the mid lane. They can go for Ocean Soul, or they can just look to end here, but it would take a lot of confidence if they want to go for it.
And that's why we saw Vitality investing 2 ultimates to clear out the wave and top side. They knew if they could get position on the Dragon as it spawns, they could probably look for a pick, and it's going to be Jankos who bears the burden there. Won't try and go for the end, though. They're just going to make sure that they can back Heretics into their own base and then look for that. This will be so for Vitality, but it doesn't mean that they're out of the woods yet. We saw the burst damage that Ruby can have, how quickly these fights can go astray. So it'll be a nice little help for Vitality, but Heretics, if they can find the right fight, can still bring this back.
But the right fight gets that much harder to find when you're facing down Ocean Soul, because that extra bit of healing means that the amount of targets you can reliably 100-0 with this Syndra, with the Vi combo, gets smaller and smaller. And Dagda, this is going to require flawless execution from the side of Team Heretics. And I think for Vitality, now that they've had the hiccups, now that they've made a couple mistakes in fights, you know that they are going to chill out, that they are going to try to play this as cleanly as they can.
I mean, I think the big thing you got to look at it for both sides is the amount of stopwatches that are there, though, right? You've got 4 members of Heretics that are sitting with their stopwatches. You look across the Vitality, 2 Zhonya's a stopwatch as well onto Kaiser. It feels like these fights are going to be very long and drawn out, which definitely favors a team that does have the soul, but it's going to be a case of how much value can you get out of those items. Both teams setting up now. Waves very much on Heretics side of the map, so going to take a little bit of time to try and clear those ones back out, which opens up Vitality to see if they can look for a collapse in mid lane. But I mean, at least at the moment, Heretics not really biting on those side lanes.
Certainly not. Taking their sweet time. Oh, and it's so much pressure. Again, because we talked about it, you can afford to lose a best of 3, but again, only the team who goes 2-0, there will be one 2-0 team in each group, and that team gets to go to the upper bracket. That team gets the luxury of losing a best of 5, the luxury of double limb. And again, best of 3s don't feel too bad when you can afford to lose one, but when you can no longer afford to lose any best of for the rest of your season, that is difficult.
Especially with how close LEC has felt this split as well,
Yeah.
when you're looking at like SK's beating both the top teams, when you're looking at like Heretics now pushing Vitality, BDS looking fantastic. Like, there's so many teams that are stepping up and being accounted for, and you really would like that luxury of that extra win in your back, or extra loss in your back pocket, I should say, because you really don't know when a team's just going to come out swinging with a better read on what is the patch at the moment.
Yep. And it's a patch that has been largely, I think, undiscovered, or at least it would appear to be, as there are very few changes in the gameplay. Some small changes in itemization. You obviously saw Jankos go for Black Cleaver first. You see the crit multiplier items getting built second on the vast majority of champions. But past that, most of the meta picks have remained the same outside of Yuumi disappearing. Now, however, heavy on the bottom side, keeping the pressure up. Eventually, someone will have to respond to this, but for now, Vitality trying to use all of the damage they can bring to bear to burn through this Baron. Jankos waiting over the wall. Jankos, will they look for the steal or will they look for Perkz? Perkz now leaping out safety, but it looks like Jankos is overstayed as well from getting pushed back into the team, and goodbye to the jungler of Team Heretics. That is a massive ult coming in from Kaiser to buy a bit more time, but Evie in the midst of everyone manages to find the stun. He goes golden, he buys a brief moment. Respite from Bo to keep the back line standing. Evie still standing, the stun now going down. Stopwatch coming in from Bo, and they simply refuse to die. The carries of Vitality stand tall. It is a TP coming in from the Gragas on the backside. It is Neon versus Jackspektra, and right now Neon is winning. Mersa cut down or nearly. Gets to watch his own death in slow motion. 2.5 seconds of knowing that the game is over. Photon on the hunt for Jackspektra. Vitality barreling down mid lane looking for the win.
Okay, it's a little bit of hide and seek. TP back from Ruby into the base. Neon needs to reset though. You can already see the wave is being pushed in, and as long as Photon can stop the reset, it might be okay.
Q. Oh, first strike. Last strike, maybe.
I think there's going to be a few more strikes though. Look at the mid lane. Rest of Vitality is backing away. They can't do it. Photon had to chase. You had multiple members trying to chase down Ruby as well. So Heretics will live and breathe that little bit longer. Baron may not be so lucky as the rest of Vitality move in towards that objective. 2.5 minutes until that Elder Dragon is available. So Vitality going to be looking to make sure they can put pressure across the board. 2 inhibitor towers already down means that they can put pressure on the top side, try and push back Heretics in their own base. But you see here, I think Jankos, that rivalry with Perkz, he really wanted to get that flash forward, to get the punch, to get the setup, but just short. It means that Perkz manages to escape away from the initial engage, and then he kind of carries himself not so happily into the waiting arms of the rest of Vitality. And a great ult from Bo here as well. Forces Heretics back line in retreat, and then the rest of the fight can be dealt with from Vitality as Bo flashes away from the rest of the fight as well.
And very close, very scrappy fight. Ultimately, mid-wave dying at the start of that fight means that Vitality can't really push for much more past the tower. And credit to Photon, making the back half of this fight easy. Overall, Vitality looking to close out with confidence. They once again have a big gold lead backing them up, but I don't know how much it matters in the fights to come. Stopwatches again have to be looked at. Jackspektra and Ruby still holding on to theirs for now. And it's all about execution here. It's all about holding on if you are Team Heretics. Elder 1 minute away. They can find that buff. They can turn the tides of this game effortlessly. Vitality keeping the pressure on. They've got so much range, so much zone control. It is so hard for Team Heretics to find that window of opportunity. Vitality giving Team Heretics that respect. They're not looking to play overconfident. Just going to back off, keep their eyes on the objective, keep their eyes on the prize.
I think the one saving grace for Vitality is probably going to be this ward that's at the back of Brush here. Maybe it won't be, because it may not last that long, but there's just this one ward that maybe you can look for a TP with Heavy when that comes up. Maybe they can find a flank, maybe they can find something, but the biggest problem for them right now is just Vitality are knocking on the door of their base, and one tower already down. They need to keep these minions off the turrets.
No reason to flip it on the Elder. They can just play it out slow. Ruby fishing. You can see every scout of the week could be a dead member of Vitality, but now the engage coming out. Bo took so much damage. Bo locked up. Lamb's respite is there when he comes back up, but will it be enough? Buying space with a hostile takeover. Bo still standing. Jankos getting cut down slowly but surely. Heavy on the backside, but he's not able to take out a single carry. Bo still alive, and that's going to be the game.
Vitality just brute forced their way onto the Nexus with the Lamb's respite, and looked a little bit dodgy at the end, but able to get it across the line. And that's so sad for Heretics. They kept that game so close for so long.
Incredible that they were able to find those mid to late game plays to get back into the game. At the end of the day, though, Vitality calm, cool, collected. Once they were able to take that last fight, to take that Baron, they did not take any more risks. Played it in arm's reach, did not give those engage options, and now they move on to 1-0 to face the winner of today's series, the winner of SK versus Koi, to see who will move up to the upper bracket in our playoffs. And then at the end of the day, good showing in Game 2 from Team Heretics with Team Vitality, dominant in Game 1, keeping their composure in Game 3 and making it work.
I'm glad to see the Heretics, though, didn't just kind of roll over after that first game, because that was a toughie, and I think you got to see how strong their mental can be, because coming back, Jackspektra having a fantastic game in that bot side in Game 2. We saw how close this game was, but unfortunately it comes down to those split-second decisions, and I think that's where Vitality have been so clean all split long, is finding those little advantages where they can look for a pick, look for that engage. Bo again bringing out the Kindred, looking absolutely spectacular, and it is a bit of a worry if you're coming up against this team you got to draft, because, do you just look to ban away the Kindred? Because a lot of these fights, that was the clutch difference maker.
It was super difficult to deal with, and the only fights where it really felt like it worked out very cleanly, they were able to burn through him, CC him so well that he was not able to use the ultimate there across the fights. Player of the series at LEC on Twitter, Photon, Bo, or Neon are going to be your options, and I think Vitality looking like a top contender. We knew alongside Mad and G2 that they were a top 3 team when it came to favorites in this league, and while Game 2 they might have struggled, they did show it in Game 1 and Game 3. Proving they are a force to be reckoned with and a tall task for whoever will face them later on. For now, though, Trouble is standing by with the victorious Neon on the back of that incredible Sivir performance.
Thank you very much, Drakos and Neon. Congratulations on the win of the first best of 3.
Thank you.
You told me something sneakily before the interview. You told me, not being that great because we should have 2-0'd. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's correct. We actually stepped our game quite a bit in this week's practice. So going into the match, we all expected to 2-0 them. And I think maybe after the first game where we really stomped them, maybe we let a little bit loose, even though not consciously, but subconsciously, right? Yeah, we actually lost and still managed to bring it back. So.
Do you think that Heretics exceeded expectations, or did you guys play a little bit too loose?
No, I think they didn't exceed expectations. I expected them to lose, but me and Kaiser actually gave them a free win in the second game. So.
Guide me through a little bit what happened in the bot lane then in that second game. Was it communication fault?
Honestly, like in the current meta, if you play some of these volatile matchups, like the game can end level 1, and for us the game ended level 1 because we misplayed. And after that, like our entire plan falls apart. So yeah, me and Kaiser, the Kate Lux hasn't been going too well for us, but at least other champs are like, you know, slightly better.
Absolutely, we saw this in the last game. You popped off in the bot lane. Now, when it comes to Vitality as a whole, when I talked to Perkz last time, he was like, we're not that great. We're trying to get there. And there's, of course, a very high ceiling with the players. But how is the communication going? Because we saw some, you know, voice comms coming out, a little bit chaotic. Bo told me also, we don't necessarily have one set shot caller, but we know who to listen to.
Yeah, well, to become really great, you need 5 individually good players, which I believe we have here, right?
Yeah, you do.
So the one thing that's like our biggest enemy is the comps. It's obviously hard, but we are working on it. The top jungler are taking English lessons. They're getting better day by day. And I think this week we've actually improved a lot. Even though maybe we didn't show it that much today, I thought that we made the biggest improvement heading into playoffs because we got a reality check against like last week when we had really messy games. Even though we ended up winning, we knew that this was not a level of play that we were happy with. So we all worked really hard this week and practiced long hours to make it better. And I think that in the next best of 3, we will show even more.
Of course, because this also counts as official practice, I would say. And of course, since you won, it feels good. Now, of course, next up is going to be SK versus Koi. You guys lost to both of these teams in the regular season. What are your thoughts on the next best of 3 coming up?
Honestly, the next best of 3 is really interesting, right? Like, even though SK looked really strong in the regular season, we have not seen this irritation of the roster in a best of series. And Rogue has a lot of like players who have won multiple best of series, right? So heading into the match, I think I maybe slightly favor Rogue simply because they had a week to figure out SK. They only prepare against SK, and they've been in the best of 5s before, best of 3s, sorry. But SK Gaming definitely like kind of a dark horse this split because nobody expected them to do this well, and they've succeeded like pretty much anyone's expectations, including mine. So definitely will be a banger series, I think.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Nino. Congratulations. And with that, it concludes our first best of 3. There's more in store. After the break, SK take on Koi. See you soon.